I almost fell off. What's going on, guys? I hope you're well. First of all, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Jared Hamilton. Thanks so much for being here. Now, today's video, I wanted to talk to you about 5 specific things that are not supposed to happen in weight loss. It's interesting. I made some smaller posts on this on some of my other platforms, like a TikTok about it, a tweet about it, an Instagram post about it, and they went kind of bonkers. So because this specific concept resonated with so many people, I wanted to film a YouTube video on it and really go a little bit more in depth on these 5 things and why they are what they are and the reality behind all of this. So that's why I'm making this video, because this is really important. And a lot of the issues that most people face when getting into weight loss, if they understood these 5 things, a lot of the issues wouldn't be here, would go away, or this whole weight loss game would be a lot simpler and a lot easier for most people. So let's get into it. Number 1. Weight loss is not supposed to be fast. That's the thing that gets a lot of people into trouble, is like the concept of like weight loss is, oh, it's taking me too long, this is being slow, all this sort of thing. Here's what you have to understand. Weight loss is just like pregnancy. Okay, this is my favorite analogy ever. Weight loss is just like pregnancy. You can't speed it up, the time duration is what it is, and nothing cool happens till about 9 months down the road. But here's the thing with pregnancy. You know it's gonna take that long and you're okay with it. To be honest, if you just found out you're pregnant and a doctor came to you and said, hey, I actually have this treatment that we can cut down that whole 9-month-long pregnancy to 3 months, you would probably be like, nah, I'm good. Because you know that pregnancy is supposed to take a long time. You know that if you start shortcutting pregnancy, if that was an actual thing, your baby would come out with a thumb out its forehead or something crazy, and you would harm the baby. Fat loss is no different. But too often when we get into fat loss, people are like, how can I biohack? How can I cheat? How can I cut the system and get a year's worth of progress in 30 days? That's the issue. You have to understand that fat loss is in no way supposed to be fast. This is why also, if you notice people who lose crazy amounts of weight fast, like someone hops on keto and they lose 30 pounds in 30 days, you ever notice they don't look that different? Because when you lose weight really, really, really fast, it's not gonna be just fat. If you take 9 months to lose 30 pounds the right way, or you do some trendy diet and lose 30 pounds in 30 days, you'll look two totally different, like 2 different people. Because fat loss is supposed to be slow. Here's the other thing, like even in the world of like scale fluctuations, people will freak out that like, oh, the scale spiked, I was 130 yesterday and I'm 133 today. You realize body fat doesn't spike, right? Spike or massively drop. So if you lost 5 pounds overnight, that's not fat. Don't get excited about it. But in the same token, don't get disappointed when you gain 5 pounds overnight. It's not physiologically possible to gain or lose body fat like that. So that's the thing, is you have to understand that fat loss is supposed to be slow. That's the number 1 thing on this list, that weight loss is not supposed to be fast. If people complain all the time, they're like, oh, Jared, this weight loss is taking so slow. And I go, good, that's how it's supposed to be. That's like someone saying, oh, this pregnancy's taking 9 months. It's like, good, that's kind of how it's supposed to be. That's the thing, is especially with pregnancy, you're not supposed to speed it up, and you can't. Fat loss is the same way. If you speed it up, you mess things up. Imagine this. This is my biggest issue when people try to lose weight as fast as possible. What happens if you tried to go to the grocery store as fast as possible? Like for example, the nearest grocery store for me is like 5 minutes away. And the speed limit here in my city is 30 miles per hour. So in my head, I could be like, okay, it takes me 5 minutes to get to the grocery store, going 30 miles an hour. So if I want to go faster, maybe I should go 100 miles an hour, right? Theoretically, that would happen. But me trying to speed it up actually slows me down in the long haul. Because you know what would happen if I flew out of here at 100 miles an hour? I would probably get pulled over by a police officer because I'm breaking the law, which would take 30 minutes on that traffic stop. Or let's say I get in a car accident, now we're at 2 hours. Let's say I had that car accident in a school zone, now I go to jail. Now I'm there for days or months. Let's say all these situations come up because me trying to speed it up actually costs me time in the long run, like we go into the grocery store. It's the same thing with this. When you try to speed up fat loss, you end up binging, you end up depriving yourself, you end up hurting your metabolism, you end up burning through muscle tissue, you end up saying fuck it and starting all over. All these bad things happen just like trying to go 100 miles an hour to the grocery store. Versus if you just embrace slow is the game. That's where the magic happens. And if you notice every other area in our life, we expect slow. You pay off your house in 15 to 30 years. You take 9 months to have a baby. You take 12 years to graduate school. You take 4 to 8 years to graduate college. Like, all this stuff is time. You see what I mean? But when it comes to fat loss, it's like, no, if I don't lose 30 pounds in 30 days, something's wrong. It's like, no. Fat loss is not supposed to be fast. Here's a little bit different metric for you. If you're ever curious to gauge your progress, aim at about 1 pound a week. Around losing an average over weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of around 1 pound a week is the faster side of sustainable fat loss. So if you're losing 2, 3, 4, 5 pounds a week, way too fast. All right, number two, you're not supposed to lose weight every single week. Fat loss is not linear, guys. We're a very funky human body with a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and we're not gonna lose weight every single week. A lot of times people will get into coaching. This is one of my expectations I tell people from the get-go is like, hey, you're not gonna lose weight every single week, because that's just not practical, right? We're not perfect people. There's a lot of things on the back end of our physiology that's happening where, like, we may not lose weight every single week, but if you're over an average and overall trend is progressing, it doesn't matter. Like, it's totally normal for you to lose some weight, plateau, gain a little bit, lose some more weight, plateau, gain a little bit, lose some weight. Like, that trend is normal. So to be like, oh my gosh, I haven't lost weight every single week, it's totally fine. You're not supposed to, right? You don't have to. It's just not practical to say you're gonna lose weight every single week. That's like a business saying, oh, we have to profit, make money every single day. Whereas there's like a lot of stuff that can come up. That's not practical for a business to think, oh, we're gonna have to make more money than we did the next day, every single day. Whereas, like, it really depends on a lot of other factors, and they can still end up annually better even if they had a few rough months. It's the same thing with this fat loss game, guys, is you're not gonna lose weight every single week. It's just not gonna happen, and you're not supposed to. Number 3, this is one of my favorites. You are not supposed to be motivated all the time. One of the biggest things people ask, what's stopping me is motivation. I'm never motivated. Man, how do I get off my ass and do this if I'm not motivated? But, like, you're not supposed to be motivated all the time. That would make you a super freak. That would make you not human, right? We are humans, we're imperfect. We got shit going on. We live imperfect lives. We have stress, we have kids, we have life, we have jobs, we have all this stuff. So to say, oh, I need to be motivated all the time, every second of the day when it comes to workouts and dieting, that's just not even practical. Here's the other part. Are you motivated all the time in other areas of your life? Your job. Audit yourself right now. Are you motivated every single day you go to work? I love what I do for a living. Like, I coach people all over the world every single day, and it is like I would not do anything else. But guess what? There are some days I would rather stay in bed and play video games all day, just because that's human nature. Are you motivated to go to your work every single day? Of course not. You may love your job, but you're not motivated every single day. What about your kids? For those of you that have kids, are you motivated to be a parent every single day? Most parents, or every parent I know that isn't. Let's say marriage. Let's say you're married or have a partner and you love, like, I love my wife more than anything in the world, and you may love your partner literally more than anything in the world, but guess what? There are some days you wake up and you are just, you're not motivated to be a good partner. You're like, I just wanna be selfish and lay in bed all day and not do anything. Other areas of your life, let's say bills. Are you ever motivated to pay your bills? Probably not. What about other responsibilities? Probably not. You see what I mean? Even hobbies that you love, you may not be every single day, a 10 out of 10, motivated to do your hobby. The reason I bring this up is because we can't expect to be motivated all the time, which means we can't rely on motivation all the time. If motivation, what I mean by that is that good, that, Dwayne Johnson on the cover of an Under Armour magazine feeling, if you're waiting on that to move and execute, you're never gonna move forward. Part of subconscious self-sabotage is losing motivation, right? Part of being human is not being motivated all the time. To be honest, especially if you're like way over here and your goal is over here, it's because you've set into your ways over here, like the old version of you with maybe being sedentary or not being very ambitious or active or being lazy or whatever it is, overeating, under-moving. So for you to like come over here, you're gonna have to change like your character traits. You're gonna have to start maybe getting up early. You're gonna have to start keeping promises to yourself. You're gonna have to eat better. You're gonna have to start working out harder, which means you're going against old psychology, which means like it's no wonder if you're not motivated because you're literally changing parts of who you are. So it's not practical to be motivated all the time, but you can't let motivation be your foundation, right? This is where discipline comes in. Like I said, you're not motivated to go to work, but you go. You're not motivated to pay your bills, but you pay them anyway. You're not motivated always to be a parent, but but you parent your kid. But why? It's because you know what happens when you don't. This is why you really want to think about what not achieving your fitness or fat loss goals is going to cost you. Like a lot of people want to lose weight to be a better example to their kids, or people want to lose weight because they're not confident. Well, what's not being confident costing you? Is it costing you relationships? Is it costing you money at your job? Is it costing you your happiness? You got to start thinking in terms of like, is this going to cause me pain not showing up for myself? And then that's the thing, is you got to execute regardless of feeling like it or not. But understand this, motivation doesn't work by sitting on your ass and doing nothing and only showing up when you feel like it. Motivation happens by going, I don't feel like this. I'm gonna get up and move and do it. And then the action and the results cause motivation. It's not the other way around. It's not motivation then action. It's action that causes motivation. That's how that goes. And number 4 of the things that are not supposed to happen in weight loss is you're not always supposed to see progress. Here's the truth about progress. Number 1, progress is always late to the party. Write that one on your forehead. Progress is not supposed to happen all the time. Progress is not linear. Progress is always late to the party. Progress doesn't happen in real time, where it's just like if I have a glass of water and I pour half the glass out, now the glass is half empty. But progress would be like, I have the glass, I pour half of it out and it's still full. Right? People are like, Jared, I've been doing this all week and I haven't lost any weight. It's like, yeah, of course. It's been 7 days. Or people are like, Jared, I haven't lost weight. It's been 2 whole months. I'm like, exactly. It's been 2 months. It's been 60 days. Progress is so late. Understand this. I would just throw this out there. Your current reality right now is based on your past 6 months. Progress is easily 6 months late. So if it's like 2 weeks in, 5 weeks in, 90 days in, and you're still not where you want to be, exactly. Progress is 6 months at least late to the party. That's a super important thing to hammer home and to understand that's how the reality of progress. But understand this, progress is not something you will physically see all the time. For example, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes you may not see, and you may be hyper-focused also on what you hate. To be honest, you're gonna be biased as fuck about your own stuff. I'm biased as fuck about mine. This is one of the reasons I love coaching, is because I see my clients' progress way before they do. So where they might get discouraged and throw in the towel, I'm like, oh no, you're down 3 pant sizes, you're down 10 pounds. Oh no, you have 2 inches off of your thighs right now. And they go, oh, I had no idea. It's because we're all biased around our own things, around our own progress. So you have to understand, if you're just hyper-focused on what you hate, you're gonna miss out on all what's working in your favor, that's serving you, that's gonna show you're making progress. That's why you have to understand that just because you don't see progress doesn't mean it's not happening. Write that one down. Just because you don't see in real time right now progress, it doesn't mean it's not happening behind the scenes. It could be something as like your circulation's better, your pants don't fit as tight, they're still tight but they're not as tight, or now you don't have any issues bending over to tie your shoes, or now, even if measurements and pictures and weigh-ins aren't any different, like you look just slightly different, you look thinner. Areas you're not measuring, like your face or your collarbone, are toning up. There are things going on behind the scenes that you don't see. This is why it's so important to not just throw in the towel when it's not going your way. First of all, that's a problem by itself. No one ever got closer to their goal by giving up. But also, when most people give up, it's when they're still making progress, they just don't see it. But that's why you have to understand, when getting into weight loss, you're not supposed to see progress all the time. You won't physically see it, but you have to believe it's happening behind the scenes. All right, and number 5, the last one. In weight loss, you are not supposed to compare your progress or lack thereof to other people's. This is the biggest one, guys. You have to understand, when you compare, you are robbing yourself of happiness. That's the only reason to compare. On every spectrum, when you're unhappy, it's because you're comparing. Even if someone in your family passes away, it's because you're comparing life to when they used to be here. Every scenario, when we are unhappy, it's because we are playing the comparison game. But here's the reality. People act like, in this world of fat loss, that some people's progress or yours lack thereof has some dictation over the whole situation. For example, if you and I have a pizza in front of us and I eat 3 slices, that's now 3 slices you can't have. Or if there's a pile of money in front of us and I take $100, that's $100 you're not gonna be able to have. Progress in this fat loss world is not like that. A lot of people will be like, let's say someone lost 4 pounds in a month, which is amazing progress, right? A pound a week. But they're like, well, my coworker Karen lost 10 pounds in the month. Man, I feel like I'm not doing something right. Who says that has any dictation over you? Right? Just because Karen lost more doesn't mean that has any effect on you. It's not like, I took 3 of the pieces and now that's 3 you can't have. Karen could lose 100 pounds and it doesn't matter for you. But there's an asshole saying that I like to use is when comparing to others, like, do you count their money too? Everyone's so quick to compare, like, oh, Sarah lost more weight than I, Bob lost more weight than I. They're further along than I am, but you don't look at anything else. You don't look at the unsustainable stuff they're doing. You're not looking at the blatant lies they're telling. You're not looking at the unsustainable, terrible habits they're doing to lose the weight. So in a year, they'll gain all their weight back and you won't. But that's the thing is when most people play the comparison game totally unfair. Because I'll even go so far as to say this, if you're gonna play the comparison game, you gotta play it completely open. Whereas you can't just compare results, you gotta compare the process, you gotta compare their journey, you gotta compare their happiness, you gotta compare their habits. So let's say you who've barely lost any weight this month, and Karen who's lost like 10 pounds this month, and you're like, oh man, I wish I lost as much weight as Karen, she's losing more weight than I am. Like, oh, she's also starving herself. She's also not eating carbs. She's also about to get a divorce because she won't go spend time with her husband because she's living this fat loss life. Karen also throws up after every meal. Like, if you're gonna compare yourself to her results, you gotta compare yourself to her actions. Oh, in a year, do you think she'll have gained her weight back? Absolutely. So if you're gonna take her results and be upset because you don't have them, you need to now compare yourself to the whole picture. You can't treat comparison like a buffet and just pick and choose what you want. Now imagine this, I own my own business, right? But what if I compared myself to someone who makes more money than me? I know some people in the fitness space who make more money than I do currently, but they evade taxes, they treat their team like shit, they treat their customers like absolute shit, and they are only in it for themselves and they will not be in business in 3 years from now, guaranteed. But what if I was upset? I'm like, oh, so-and-so makes more money than me. Like, imagine if I came to you and was upset about it. You would be like, no, Jared, it's fine because they're gonna get shut down, they evade their taxes, they're gonna get fines, they're not gonna keep their customer base, their team resents them, your team loves you, your clients love you, it's fine. You would probably talk me out of that, of feeling bad, because of context. Context is everything, guys. The reality is even, let's say someone is losing weight, killing it, in the right way, and like they've lost 50 pounds the right way and you've lost 5 pounds. Who's to say that says anything about you? Who's to say just because they lost 50 pounds means something bad about you losing 5 pounds? That doesn't even make any relevant sense. That doesn't help you in any way, shape, or form other than specifically make you feel bad. So first of all, everyone's progress or yours lack thereof is none of your fucking business. It doesn't matter at all. Because like I said, if you're willing to compare yourself to someone else, I would say, do you count their money? Do you teach their kids school? Do you help pay for their groceries? Do you go over to their house and clean every day? Like, you probably don't because it doesn't matter and it's none of your business. So why the fuck are you comparing your fitness progress or lack thereof? So those are your 5. The 5 things that aren't supposed to happen in weight loss. Number 1, to recap, was progress is not supposed to be fast. Number 2, you aren't supposed to lose weight every week. Number 3, you aren't supposed to be motivated all the time. Number 4, you aren't always supposed to see progress. Number 5, you aren't supposed to compare your progress or lack thereof to anyone else's. And there we have it, guys. Those are the 5 things that are not supposed to happen in weight loss. I hope this helped. Be sure, if you haven't already, be sure and subscribe to the channel. Throw this video a like if you got some value out of it. Comment below, tell me what you're thinking, what you're feeling, if this resonates with you. And if you need anything, I'm always here. Thanks again. I'll talk soon.